people. How are you doing this evening? I hope you're well. So we are still here. And I said the next couple of weeks I will be picking a topic from the book and then doing a video about it. So the next videos will be topics from the book. So I had a question from one of you that I'm gonna read here, and I'm gonna answer it from one of my chapters in the book. So the question was, hi Muthoni, I hope this finds you well. I'm reading from my laptop, but I'll put the question here. Hi Muthoni, I hope this finds you well. I have been meaning to ask, why change from media personality to what you're doing now? How was this transition like? Did you have to go to school again? Did you first get a job to help begin with this mental health awareness, or you just went ahead and began coaching? What has helped you transition to where you are now? I'm really loving what you're doing. Blessings. Thank you so much. One of my followers sent this to my DM, and I get a lot of people also who send actually emails, long emails, that they found their purpose, or they want to transition from what they are doing, their day job, to doing what they love. So a disclaimer, there's noise in the background. That's my son. Nowadays he's so loud, and he's laughing and playing with his nanny. So yeah, so bear with me. Yeah, so if you're new here, my name is Muthoni Mukiri. I am a mindset coach, formerly a media personality, and I am about to launch my first book. The launch is on 2nd November. Charges are 5,000 Kenya shillings. It's an event, you guys, and then towards the end, we launch the book. The charges include a copy of this book. It will be retailing for about 2,000 Kenya shillings. So it's a good deal. Yeah, you pay 5K, you come, enjoy everything. There's drinks, there's food, there are a lot of speakers, and then you go home with a copy of the book. Anyway, now I have spoken about this in my book, about finding my purpose, about what I did, and about how I knew it was the right thing for me. It's one of the chapters here, in one of the chapters here. And I just want to answer her question, the transition. So for me, when I started my media journey, for those who don't know, I used to anchor news in one of the local channels. It was a huge channel. So, but I was a news anchor in a vernacular station, Kikuyu station to be exact, TV station. I was a news anchor, primetime news anchor. So I had a lot of following on social media. A lot of people know me actually from my media days. So when I started my media journey, I had this feeling, you know how you have a feeling as a young baby, as a young girl, I had this feeling that I was going to be someone influential. Like I knew it in my bones that I was going to be huge. Like I was going to be really successful, and I was going to be a lot. Have you ever had that feeling? I had that feeling. And I remember actually during my high school days, we used to have a lot of intense prayers. And I remember one of the ladies who used to pray, and she used to say God speaks to her. I remember she prophesied to me, and she said that she saw me on a podium speaking to a lot of people when I'm on the mic. She said she saw me on a podium on the mic speaking to huge numbers of people. I always remember her telling me that, but I knew I was going to be so much more than that little girl. So fast forward, I got my job at Inoro. I did my degree in journalism, so I got my job there. And so fast forward, I did my degree in journalism, so I got my job at the station as a lead anchor, one of the lead anchors. And at that point, I felt like this is it. You know, I felt like this is what I had always been feeling as a little girl. Like this is the level that I always thought about. But so as I continued to work and to anchor news, and I became really famous, and people got to know me, my social media platform grew so much. I started feeling like this is not it. I was not getting the satisfaction and the fulfillment I was expecting to get from that. So I didn't know how, but I felt empty. You know how I'm driving home at night after reading the 9 p.m. news, and then I'm asking myself, is this really it? And you know, the funny thing is, when you start asking, when you feel so blessed, and you know you are blessed, you have a good job, they pay you well, it's a fancy job, they provide you with a lot, even benefits and all that, but then you feel like it's not enough. There's that thing that makes you feel like you're guilty, or like you're not supposed to complain, or like you're not supposed to feel that way. Yeah, my son is screaming and playing around with his nanny, so Anyway, so I could feel it. I could feel like this is not it for me. But then I used to feel a little guilty, feeling that, knowing I'm blessed and knowing this is this is a job people dream about. Like I was living the dream, but I wasn't fulfilled. Like I wasn't there. Yeah. And then I had also some issues in the office that I didn't like. And so I didn't know what to do about it. But then I just, you know how sometimes you can feel this is not it, this is not the end, but you don't know what to do at that point. So you continue working. So when I started my healing journey after the breakup, and I've spoken about that breakup here in the beginning of my book, because that is what prompted me to start my wellness journey. So that is what prompted me to start my wellness journey. So when I started my healing journey, and when I started therapy, I started reading books, I started watching podcasts and videos, is when I realized there was so much I did not know. As a lead news anchor, as a woman who was doing well successfully, I had started my hair business, I was doing well. So as a woman who had all that, I had no clue about things to do with self-love, self-esteem, choosing better men in relationships, childhood trauma. I think so much about childhood trauma, and I feel like eventually probably I'll have to specialize on childhood trauma, because it affects a lot of relationships and a lot of things. So yeah, so let me not get carried away by side shoes. So when I started my healing journey, that's when I realized, you know what, I really want to talk to women about this thing. And then for a while, I had been wanting to start my YouTube channel, but I had postponed it for a long time. But because I didn't want to do makeup, I didn't want to do about my day-to-day activities. I didn't want it to be about fashion. I didn't know what I wanted it to be about, but I had that feeling of wanted to open a YouTube channel. And remember that time a lot of people started. I remember Betty Chalo started her Betty Chalo lately. I remember Helen Muthoni started hers. And I remember feeling, oh God, everybody's starting. Well, I'm here, backtracking and not knowing what to do. So when I started my healing journey, it just a bulb lit up in my head, and I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. My YouTube channel will be about emotional and mental wellness. My YouTube channel will be about sharing my story of where I've coming from, how much I've had to work on myself. You can work on yourself. You can actually get into a better relationship. And I started my YouTube channel. And I remember even that year, the year I started my YouTube channel is the year I left. I remember even going to the office, and then we were being told, oh, you can't have just channels. You can't just start opening your own channels, whereas this is a channel as well. I worked at a media house, so that's a TV channel. So, and I remember the people who had also opened a channel like me, they freaked out and they were like, oh, we are gonna have to close our channels, YouTube channels. But then I was like, I'm not gonna close mine. I knew I wasn't gonna close. I knew that is what I wanted to do long term. When I started my talking about mental health and self-love and all that, I knew I was gonna do it full time. So I thought about it, and I decided to come up with a plan, an exit plan, to leave mainstream media and focus on emotional and mental wellness. It gave me a lot of fulfillment, and I got people just started following me. People started being excited about the things I used to talk about on YouTube. So I came up with a plan. I had a good business. I saved up money. I ate a chama. I had a chama. We were contributing a lot of money. So you go home with a lot of money also when it's your turn. It was a merry-go-round. So I had colored chama. I was okay. And then I met my boyfriend then, my husband now. And he was like, you know what, I support you. He was so supportive of those mental health things, because he also knows what it's like. He has seen what has happened to people, what it's done to people, even himself. He's gone also through things in his life. So I had backup. I told my mom about it. My mom was supportive, was like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Then it's okay. I told my dad about it. My dad was like, hey, utakipata huku nje and all that. It's a good thing he told me that, because now even coming out here, I wasn't naive about it. I knew things could go wrong, and I knew it wasn't gonna be easy, because I'd also seen him struggle at some point financially as a businessman. Yeah. Anyway, some days he was doing okay, some days he was yeah. Okay, so I tendered my resignation and I left, but I knew why I was leaving. I had a plan financially. I knew was taken care of. I had support, my parents, my friends, my then boyfriend. I had a business that was thriving, was doing really well. So that's why I left. When I left, I just continued with my YouTube channel, but I wanted to do therapy. I wanted to do therapy in my master's. Excuse me, I don't know what's happening. So I wanted to advance my education and do therapy, a master's degree in therapy. But then as someone who's done therapy and coaching, I weighed the two of them, and I realized I still want to do my master's. I'm not sure now what I'll do, but I realized coaching helped me more than therapy. Therapy was a good start, but therapy focuses so much on your past mistakes, on your past trauma, healing what you gone through. However, what coaching does, it helps you with the past, and it also gives you tools and coping mechanisms. So I decided to become a coach. I went to school. I've done so many certifications. I did mindset coaching, confidence coaching. I've done I've trained as a coach. So I went to school. Most of the times I'm usually actually doing exams and reading and all that, and that is why I am able to do what I do from a place of confidence. But by the time I was going for my certification, I knew what I was doing. I just needed the confidence that I'm now certified. I'm not a fraud. You know that imposter syndrome that reminds you, you know what, people will see through you. You know that thing. I had to really go to school for that confidence. So that's how I was able to transition. I've spoken about ways of finding your purpose, I found my purpose because I found my purpose after going through so much. And when I went through my healing, I realized, you know what, I want to do this for women. Like, I want to hold their hand. I want to talk to them about loving themselves. I don't want them to think suffering is the norm. You know how life is for suffering is not. You can choose not to. Pain is inevitable. We'll go through phases of pain from time to time, but suffering is optional. Yeah, you can choose not to. So yeah, that was my transition. If you're trying to look for your purpose, here, I've spoken about it. I've spoken about 4 ways to find your purpose. So I've spoken about finding your purpose. This is that, you see the way it has. Yeah, so this is that chapter of finding your purpose. Mahatma Gandhi said, you find yourself when you lose yourself in the service of others. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily has to start from you suffering. Like, I went through so much before I decided to do this, but I've written so much about this, and I've written about my journey to becoming a coach. It's the subtopic. I don't know if you can see here. My book is very colored, but it's beautiful. I know that. So and I've written about questions to ask yourself if you're trying to find your purpose, and different ways. I've spoken about also Oprah's what Oprah says about finding your purpose, and yeah. Anyway, so we launched this book on 2nd November. After 2nd November, that's when it will be available. You can also pre-order your book. You can, especially those who are outside the country, or if you will not be able to make it for the launch, because the launch is in Nairobi at Sankara. I'll put a poster here still, so you can see what's gonna happen. We have a dress code, black and gold. I'll put everything here. Charges are 5,000 Kenya shillings, including, and it's inclusive of a copy of the book, food, and we have also speakers that I'm gonna be paying. So anyway, yeah, if you want to find your purpose, that's okay. And one of the things is also to ask yourself a lot of questions. Spend time alone, and you will find your purpose. Anyway, bye. I hope I've answered your question.